Let's go around, the three of us. What do you think?
I would guess Chauncey Billups. Simple as that.
I feel somewhat similarly. There's and I didn't know about this because I think I was like 9 or 10 at the time, but there's been this resurfacing of Chauncey Billups' rape case from back in the Antoine Walker years.
Yeah, it was 97, I think.
Yeah, so it's a little, there's some history there too that's not so great, and look, I'm sure if that were to happen, there'd be some questions about that, and some people would have to answer some things, and I think that's probably for the betterment of everyone to get that out in the open and maybe talk about it and figure out what really was going on there. Everybody holds Chauncey Billups very very highly. I mean, obviously he was a clutch player, point guard, was a huge part of a team that defies all expectations and odds in terms of team building. And to win that championship that they did with the defense and toughness and role players that they had. And everybody has, again, just glowing reviews about Chauncey Billups. I think that's obviously a great guess. I think Sam Cassell is a great guess. I think Sam Cassell would probably be the guy I would pick right now as sitting here in June. But again, I can't shake that. The Kara Lawson thing makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen her really be a head coach yet because of the whole COVID thing and the way they shut down women's college basketball that year. But if I'm just hoping that her and Hammon get a real shot, because if they feel like legitimate candidates, and I would love to see what that looks like. I mean, Becky Hammon's been around the greatest mind in basketball, since, I don't know, you want to do Phil Jackson? Do you want to go back to Red Auerbach? I mean, we can go as far back as you guys want. Learning directly under Greg Popovich is something that I think everybody values. I think Brad Stevens values his conversations with Greg, and maybe having that sort of voice is a really positive thing. Everybody has positive things to say about her, so I'm gonna say maybe they go Becky Hammon just because they want to be a little bit different. I'll be different myself.
Do we not think Juwan Howard is either
he gonna walk away from Michigan
or ready to leave Michigan?
Why did people ask that question? Remember, didn't we learn the lesson with Brad? Yeah, an NBA coaching job is so much better than a college coaching job, right? Unless he cares about Michigan so much and he would never leave. No, Juwan Howard was like pretty clear he was taking that job so we could get an NBA job.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Ewing too. Not that he's part of this conversation, but just another guy that I'm going to college to get to the NBA. That's the goal.
There's got to be something with Patrick Ewing with people not thinking that he's NBA head coaching material, because the guy's a legend, was an assistant coach for so long. Like he had all the making, he had everything on his resume to become a NBA head coach. And so I don't know any reason why he didn't get it, but like at that point, if he's not getting it, that tells me that there's some reason why.
Well, I'm with you guys. And while I also think that the Becky Hammon thing, I think there's a lot more likelihood to Kara Lawson than Becky Hammon, if I'm just talking between the two of them. I think Lawson's a real possibility, absolutely. But I keep coming back to Chauncey too. And maybe part of it is just sort of, like almost like willing it into existence and wanting to hear the questions about, man, I mean, you barely had time to set up shop here as a player. Rick traded you out of town so quickly, and now you're here running the thing, coaching the team. What's that like? I just wanting to hear that press conference. But also, we just for years, whether it's head coaching openings, GM openings, like he's just always in the conversation. That it seems like a very logical fit, great opportunity to see if potential is realized. Who the heck knows? Obviously with the first-time head coach, but he's been making inroads toward that in the last couple of years. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I think Chauncey Billups is walking through that door is that he's the guy that everyone around the league talks about as that person that just seems like the natural coach in the way that he conducted himself and his personality, and that it was really seen. And I think the feedback he got from his last round of attempting to get into coaching or GMing was just that he needed to go get some experience, but that his personality and his traits and his skill set would be commensurate with a really strong candidate. So that's why it really has seemed like he was going to get he was going to be a top candidate for whatever one of these jobs came up this summer, because he finally got that experience under his belt. The Clippers were really, really good this year. I mean, look at how Reggie Jackson has transformed his career again under Chauncey. I mean, Chauncey has proven that he can be a part of a really effective coaching staff this year. And we'll see if they lose in Game 7 and that all falls apart. But, kind of like Evan was saying, Chauncey's career embodies everything that the Celtics team is missing right now. The things that they like, he is like the penicillin to this team right now.
Well, he's like the everyman. It took him, 4 or 5 stops to finally find his fit. So he starts off as a journeyman after being a high draft pick. He's a journeyman right out of the gate because Pitino didn't want him around. And obviously bounces around a few times, ultimately lands in Detroit, becomes a star, wins a championship, becomes a Hall of Famer. Like, I mean, he covers the gamut. He's like, his career encapsulates all of it. It's like every player in the locker room could see themselves in Chauncey in some way or another.
Yeah. And, a big thing is that when people see how a player was in their playing days, they ascribe that to their coaching style, which is not necessarily true. I mean, a lot of the time, guys are much different coaches than they were players, because what kind of coach you are depends a lot more on your communication style and how you interact with people. So there's a lot of, like, we always talk about Jason Tatum's personality and all the ridiculous calls for him to change how he acts. It's like Jason Tatum's an absolute assassin, but if Jason Tatum tried to coach, it probably wouldn't work out very well because he's not that good of a communicator, right? So Chauncey, his whole career was defined by the way that he led and communicated with guys and held guys accountable, and the way that he was like a second coach on the floor, essentially. So that's why I think those traits actually will translate so well to him being a coach.
Yeah, what you like about him is, I think Brad will be interested in, at least, you break down Brad's system. It's a system that values defense a lot. And you're talking about taking a guy. And one of the things I like about Chauncey is the fact that he, has bounced around a few times, has been around a lot of coaches, both as a player and as an assistant coach and everything, and as in TV. He's been around a lot of people in the game of basketball, and he's been able to pick and really study and see some stuff. And the one thing that I think that'll be advantageous for him is, he was probably one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, and a guy that understands the value and importance of defense. I think will be very attractive to Brad and whoever the GM is that comes in and helps with the search as well. So I agree that all signs point to Chauncey. I'm basically just trying to be different and just throw, the Sam Cassell name out there, who was a very, similar background to Chauncey Billups, and, a guy that's, cerebral. Yeah. Sees the game very well. And is a guy that can connect with younger players, as a former player. But the Chauncey thing, it feels like Chauncey Billups. But there's also Portland too. Portland's also after Chauncey Billups. I feel like Chauncey's going to get higher. Just a matter of where does he go, and that's a nice place to be in if you're Chauncey Billups, I guess.
Hi guys, Cedric Maxwell here. I want to take a minute to tell you about Marigold Medical. I'm used to keeping my body in great shape, but with arthritis, even the most simple everyday tasks became unbearable. As soon as I called Marigold Medical, I knew I was in good hands. No drugs, no surgery, just an experienced team of caring professionals that wanted to get me back to doing the things I love. Make the call to Marigold Medical and get back to pain-free life.